Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Executive Director, Mr. Django Sibley, Madam Secretary, Inspector General Matthew Barragan, Mr. City Attorney Carlos de la Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, March 10, 2026. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Sanchez Gordon, Shields, Garcia, Scobin, and Tabor are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending here today. All public comment will be heard during item 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 60 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker, they may be given an additional minute. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you may. You can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak on any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off-topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Message to those attending in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations, and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out the public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only one warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police. Good morning, Chief McDonald. You may proceed.
Morning, President Sanchez Gordon, Commissioners, Inspector General Barragan, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Executive Director Sibley. Today's report will cover the prior week period. I'll highlight key events, share our current crime stats, and provide an update on our current staffing levels. During the previous week, the department experienced one officer-involved shootings. In fact, let me update, we had one this morning. Year-to-date, that's 3 compared to 6 at this point last year. On Sunday, the City of Los Angeles hosted the LA Marathon, welcoming thousands of runners and spectators from around the world. Los Angeles Police Department deployed approximately 700 personnel along the route to ensure a safe and secure environment for everyone participating in and attending the event. I'm pleased to report that the marathon concluded without any major incidents. On March 7, 2026, about 23:15 hours, uniformed officers assigned to Southeast Patrol Division responded to a radio call of a robbery in progress at a 7-Eleven convenience store located at the 15300 South Figueroa Street. The comments from the call indicated that the suspect was a white male wearing a pink shirt and gray jeans, armed with a pocket knife and scissors, and accompanied by a small off-leash dog. The comments were subsequently updated to clarify that the suspect was a white female who was taking items from behind the counter and throwing them at individuals inside the store. Upon arrival, officers observed the suspect, later identified as Cynthia Ann Ivy Akers, standing behind the convenience store's front counter. The officers issued multiple verbal commands to gain Akers' compliance. However, those commands were disregarded. Akers then suddenly moved toward the counter, removed a handgun from his zippered bag, and pointed it in the direction of the officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. Akers was struck by gunfire and subsequently taken into custody without further incident. The officers immediately rendered medical aid and requested the response of the Los Angeles Fire Department. LAFD personnel responded to the scene and pronounced Akers deceased. The investigation later determined that the weapon in Akers' possession was a pellet gun. The item was recovered at the scene and booked as evidence. Akers' dog was recovered and was picked up by a local animal shelter. No officers or additional community members were injured during the incident, and personnel from Force Investigation Division responded to the scene and assumed investigative responsibility for the incident. For the week of March 1st through 8th, the department managed several protest-related events throughout the city of Los Angeles. On March 2nd, approximately 1800 hours, about 50 protesters gathered at City Hall for a Stop the War in Iran rally. The demonstration concluded at approximately 1930 hours without incident. There were no uses of force, injuries, or arrests associated with the incident. On Saturday, March 7th, an unpermitted Stop the War in Iran rally organized by the Party for Socialism and Liberation took place at City Hall in Central area. Approximately 1400 hours, the crowd began gathering, including approximately 120 protesters. The crowd remained peaceful and did not cause any significant disruptions or crimes at City Hall. The demonstration began to disperse about 1600 hours. Approximately 15 individuals later relocated to the federal building along Alameda Street, just south of Aliso Street. By 1740 hours, the group grew to approximately 50 individuals and briefly moved into the southbound lanes of Alameda Street. During this time, some participants damaged a fence located at the driveway on the east side of the federal property. Additional resources were requested by the incident commander, and officers successfully moved the group away from the driveway area and southbound along Alameda Street. Dispersal orders were issued, after which a group moved onto the sidewalks and subsequently dispersed. A felony vandalism report was completed for the fence damage, and assault with a deadly weapon report was completed after an object was thrown at officers, though no officers were injured. No force was used during the incident. Additionally, on March 1st and March 7th, protests related to Iran took place at the federal building in West Los Angeles area, with crowd size estimated between 400 and 600 individuals. These events concluded peacefully, with no uses of force, injuries, or arrests reported. On March 8th, West Los Angeles patrol officers responded to a shots fired call on Heather Road. Upon arrival, officers contacted security personnel working at the residence, who reported hearing gunshots and observing a white Tesla leaving the area immediately afterward. The residence was determined to be the home of Rihanna. A witness at the location reported seeing the Tesla driving up and down the street prior to the incident. The witness observed a female driver described as a Hispanic female with blonde hair, possibly wearing a wig, and reported hearing gunshots shortly after the vehicle stopped in front of the residence. The Tesla then fled the area. Officers reviewed surveillance footage and broadcast the suspect vehicle. Using the automated license plate readers, or ALPR system, West Los Angeles officers located a possible match in the Benedict Canyon area. With assistance from air support, officers located the vehicle near Ventura Boulevard and Sepulveda Boulevard and conducted a traffic stop. The suspect complied with officers' command and was taken into custody without incident. During the search of the vehicle, officers recovered an AR-15 style rifle, discharged cartridge casings, live ammunition, and a blonde wig. Additional ammunition and a 30-round magazine were located in the trunk. Robbery Homicide Division responded and assumed investigation. Detectives determined that multiple rounds struck the property's gate and exterior areas of the residence, with some rounds also striking a neighboring home and an Airstream trailer located on the property. 7 individuals were inside the residence at the time of the shooting, and no injuries were reported. The suspect invoked her right to counsel and made no statements. She will be booked for attempted murder and related firearm enhancements. The investigation remains ongoing, and detectives will continue canvassing for additional video and conducting follow-up witness interviews. On February 4th, a detached garage burglary occurred at 140 South Sweetser Ave within Wilshire Division. During the investigation, Wilshire burglary detectives identified 2 individuals believed to be involved in the crime and requested assistance from Major Crimes Support Section in locating the suspects. On March 5th, Major Crimes personnel conducted a surveillance on one of the suspects and followed him to North Hollywood, where investigators verified his involvement in an additional burglary. Major Crimes units directed Wilshire personnel to the suspect's location in the city of Pasadena, where Wilshire detectives and patrol officers took the suspect into custody. At the time of his arrest, the suspect was in possession of property that had been stolen during the North Hollywood burglary. The suspect waived his Miranda rights and confessed to both burglaries during a recorded interview. Later that same day, a second suspect was taken into custody after leaving the first suspect's hotel room in Pasadena. The individual also waived Miranda and admitted to knowingly selling property stolen from a burglary at 140 South Sweetser Ave and profiting from the illicit sale. The omission was also captured and recorded. On March 6, Deputy District Attorney Janet Wilson reviewed the case and filed one count of first-degree burglary and one count of second-degree burglary against the primary suspect with a recommended bail set at $1,150,000. The case against the second suspect was also reviewed by Deputy DA Janet Wilson, who filed a probation violation. On March 4th, approximately 1:25 in the morning, officers responded to a shots-fired call at 1318 East 7th Street, the location of LA Exotic Fruits. The suspect fled the area in a white Honda, and when officers attempted a traffic stop, he accelerated at a high rate of speed, drove erratically, and attempted to collide with multiple police vehicles. Officers initiated a pursuit into Central Division, where the suspect drove on the wrong side of the roadway and intentionally rammed a Newton patrol vehicle, causing it to spin and subsequently collide with a Central Area Supervisor's vehicle. The suspect then exited his vehicle and was taken into custody without further incident. Officers and the suspect were transported for medical evaluation. The investigation revealed the suspect had involved in a dispute with an employee at the business. During the altercation, the suspect retrieved a rifle from his vehicle, threatened to kill the victim, and fired approximately 6 or 7 shots into the office door where the victim had taken cover. The victim was not injured. During the transportation of the suspect to receive medical treatment, he asked the officers if he had severely injured the officers during the traffic collision. The officer advised the suspect that he had caused great bodily injury, to which he laughed and replied that he wished he would have killed him. Officers recovered spent shell casings at the scene, as well as a rifle, multiple magazines, ammunition, and body armor from the suspect's vehicle. The suspect, a 21-year-old male, was booked for attempted murder, and the investigation remains ongoing. All officers injured during the incident are expected to make a full recovery. On March 8th, at approximately 3:10 in the morning, a street takeover occurred at the intersection of 12th Street and Figueroa Street. At the time, the Street Racing Task Force was designed to support the Los Angeles Marathon, which limited their ability to monitor social media activity that often promotes these events. Investigators believe the takeover locations that evening were promoted online by the account LA Going Ghost, a known takeover organizer, although the incident involved the Circa Apartments appears to have developed spontaneously. During the event, a physical altercation occurred between Circa residents and spectators, which spilled into the apartment lobby and prompted security to intervene. Several individuals then used a metal guardrail to break windows and entered the lobby where they damaged furniture and computer equipment and assaulted individuals inside the building. 2 crimes were reported in connection with the event. The first involved a felony assault with a deadly weapon, where a victim sustained a laceration to the hand after being cut with a knife during a dispute related to the takeover. The victim had been uncooperative with the investigation. The second involved the felony vandalism and assault inside the Circa apartment lobby, where multiple suspects damaged property and assaulted victim. The estimated property damage is roughly $60,000. Investigation has been assigned to Central Division burglary detectives, who are working with senior lead officers and Circa management to obtain witness statements and review surveillance footage. The Street Racing Task Force is prioritizing this investigation to identify all involved in the incident and the promotion of such events. Crime for the week ending March 7th. All analysis is based on offense counts, with the exception of homicide and victim shot data through March 7th. Compared to this time last year, the city continues to see reductions in crime. Combined person and property crimes are down 20.1%, representing 4,200 fewer crimes year-to-date. Person crimes are down 7.5%, while property crimes have declined 23.2%. With regard to homicides, the city has experienced a 15.2% decrease year-to-date, with 7 fewer homicides than last year. Victims shot citywide are also trending downward. Year-to-date, there have been 51 fewer victims shot, a 28.3% decrease compared to 2025. Aggravated assaults are down 2.4%, robberies down 13.4%, or 184 fewer victims. Burglaries are showing some of the most significant reductions this year. Year-to-date, burglaries are down 33.7%, representing 826 fewer incidents compared to last year, and residential burglaries are down 36.5%. Non-residential burglaries are down 28.9%. Finally, motor vehicle theft continues to trend downward citywide. Year-to-date, motor vehicle theft is down 30.3%.
Excuse me, Chief.
Sure.
The lady right here in the gray shirt on the third row, you are being disruptive with your chanting or you're speaking out loud. I am speaking to you. And you are being disruptive. This is your first and last warning. Excuse me, you are being disruptive. It is your first and your last time warning. Thank you. You may continue.
Our personnel strength, sworn personnel as of March 9th is 8,698. Civilian personnel staffing is at 2,464, and we have 346 reserve officers. Of our sworn personnel, a total of 1,035 sworn employees, or just under 12%, are currently not available for full duty status. This includes 589 employees on total disabled status, long-term sick, or FMLA, and 446 employees on duty restrictions. Our civilian professional staff, a total of 348 civilian employees, or just over 14%, are currently not available for full duty status. This includes 119 employees on total disabled status, long-term sick, or FMLA. FMLA is just under 5%, and 229 employees on duty restrictions, or just over 9%. That concludes my report to the commission this morning, Madam President.
Thank you, Chief. A lot of activity in the last week.
Yeah.
Let's turn it over to our commissioners, and I'm happy to see we have everyone here. Dr. Tabor, any questions for the chief? Thank you. Commissioner Scobin, any questions for the chief?
Yes, Chief, thanks for the report. I wanted to just make sure, clarify something on the situation with the shooting at Brianna's house. You mentioned that ALPR technology assisted in identifying the
Yes, sir.
suspect. Okay, thank you. One of the areas that I've heard about over the last few months is our disciplinary system. It's important that we have a system that both the officers and public have confidence in. I'm aware that there may be some changes proposed to us in the future, which I look forward to. One area that keeps coming up is the category of demonstrably false. I certainly recognize there are cases where that would be accurate. There are reports, though, that there has been a significant increase in them. It's particularly important because the letter we send out, not in these words, but essentially tell the person that they're wrong. I'd like to request that the department give us a presentation on this, namely how it's used, statistics on its usage, and our policies around it.
Yes, we'll provide that, sir.
And then my last thing is, just wanted to follow up on the reserve info presentation that I'm hoping we get scheduled here timely, as well as the officer-involved shooting analysis from last year.
I got you. We'll get all those scheduled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Garcia, any questions?
Thank you all. Chief, can you share a little bit about the operation that took place in and around the MacArthur Park area?
Yes, sir. During 3 days of last week, officers or detectives from Gang and Narcotics Division had put together back in 2023, an operation focusing on the 18th Street Gang, which controlled the north side of MacArthur Park. That went on for an extended period of time, working with our partners at the DEA and the FBI. We were able to get federal charges filed against some major players involved in criminal activity. There is involvement by cartels, there is involvement by the Mexican mafia, as well as the street gangs in the area. So that culminated in arrests last Friday, which we're proud of, and we hope that will have a major impact in the area in disrupting the leadership of the gang and be able to give us an opportunity then to continue to focus on 18th Street, but also on other gangs in that area. Narcotics being distributed at that location are also distributed in other parts of Los Angeles, and in particular, the Skid Row area.
Thank you, Chief. And are you aware of, or is the department participating in any follow-up in terms of providing services or resources to the surrounding community?
I'm sorry, the last part?
Resources or services to the surrounding community. So is the department involved in any of that, or do you know of other city entities or departments that are involved in that?
Yeah, we continue to be involved in working with our city partners and county partners in providing services to get people off the street. Relative to this particular operation, it was focused on those who were bringing in, distributing, and selling narcotics in the area, as well as extorting money from local shop owners.
Thank you.
Commissioner Shields, any questions, any comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chief, for the report. And I was having a little trouble hearing with some noise happening in the gallery here. With regards to, you mentioned that there was a officer-involved shooting this morning. Were you able to provide any specific details, or is that still unfolding?
No, it's still unfolding there. Everybody's still out at the scene. Basically, Alsace and Washington. This morning, officers received a radio call for a suspect brandishing a firearm. They responded to the location. The suspect, I believe, went inside an apartment at that location. They conducted a follow-up, and inside the location, I believe, is where an officer-involved shooting occurred. Officers are okay. The suspect's condition, I don't have at this point.
Okay, thank you. We'll look forward to a more fulsome report. And then also, as with all officer-involved shootings, the commission will have an opportunity to review them in closed session. And thank you for the report about, it sounds like at least that there's been a lot of protests given what is happening across the world, but they sound like they have at least been peaceful and hasn't had to resort to any violence, which is great. And it was good to hear about the lawful use of the automatic license plate reader and how it was able to apprehend a pretty violent offender who was shooting into the house of Rihanna and had major weaponry on her. With regards to the report on the shots fired that resulted in a pursuit, and I'm glad to hear that the officers are expected to make a full recovery.
Yes.
And hopefully this person who had the essential intent to kill them will be prosecuted to the fullest extent possible under the law. With regards to, Commissioner Scobin raised a good point about the disciplinary process. And I know that there is, both actions happening both with City Council and with the Charter Commission looking at a variety of different types of reform. I think that the commission should be informed about what those types of proposals are so that we also have an opportunity to weigh in. And so that we also can better understand what is being proposed. And then with regards to Commissioner Scobin's questions about, how certain complaints are disposed, essentially like demonstrably false, I think it would benefit us to have more of a fulsome understanding of when that is used through a presentation. And I think as an ongoing basis, it would be helpful if, I believe, Chief, you issue a kind of disciplinary report, I think on a monthly basis of what is happening. I think those types of reports should be agendized for our board meetings, not to talk about any specific individual, but for us to kind of know what is happening in the department from a disciplinary standpoint, and also, so that we can ask questions about, how DUIs are handled or other things like that. But I think that would be insightful for the commission to at least have those conversations about what is happening within the department. And those are all the comments. I don't know, Chief, if you had any views at this point, or if you can speak briefly about, some of the reforms that are being proposed, both at the city council, or if that should be a later conversation.
Yeah, I think probably be a better later conversation. Thank you. I'll work with the executive director on getting the information you requested.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from anyone? All right, thank you. So, Chief, as you see, there are concerns about the disciplinary report, and we will be asking for a monthly report on that. Again, not specifics on an individual, but what is really happening in this disciplinary process, and information that this commission is seeking. Also, Chief, I have a question regarding the new hire for LAPD, Dean Gialamas. I believe he is the IT Bureau Chief and the Chief Information Officer for LAPD. I'm glad that has happened. Can you tell us a little bit more information on him?
Sure. John McMahon retired some months ago. He was previously the CIO, Deputy Chief. We've civilianized the position. Once that was approved, hired Dean Gialamas. He comes to us with a tremendous background, having been involved with the management of IT, the CIO, in Orange County Sheriff's Department and LA County Sheriff's Department. Somebody who brings a broad breadth of knowledge, tremendous credibility within the field, and somebody who is extremely innovative as well. Between his last employment at a public agency and his hire here, doing consulting on an international level on various leadership strategies and topics.
Okay, well, he sounds like he's very, very knowledgeable. I would suggest that we set a date for him to make a presentation to the commission to see what exactly his new position covers and how we can interact with him.
Sure, happy to.
All right, anything further? All right, we move on now to public comment. We're going to give everyone some time to do it. We're going to limit it at 60 minutes and then reevaluate to see how many more cards for comment remain. And we're going to start with our 3 minutes, and I think that that is doable in light of our shortened morning calendar. So let's start to Madam Secretary. Please call the first speaker.
The first speaker is Andrew Gravener.
Thank you for actually making it 3 minutes today. So the chief's report should be delivered in writing. The chief has shown that he has no willingness to keep his report to a reasonable amount of time, so it'll allow more time to ensure that you can hear from every speaker in person and on the phone without wasting everyone's time. If we can just read a quick summary of whatever he has to say this week, and then that's it. We don't have to sit through 20 minutes of him just rambling. I mean, even you weren't paying attention. You were chatting amongst yourselves and sleeping. Literally nobody gave a damn what he had to say or was paying any attention whatsoever. Just rambling about stuff, barely above like a mumble. Like, even if you wanted to hear him, which nobody here actually does, you couldn't hear it anyway, since he's just barely mumbling his report. He's just rambling off various stuff just to waste everyone's time. So, again, I don't know why you're so reluctant to give any information about the shootings. Apparently you've shot 2 people now in the past week. So, trying to get it back up to that, well, like 30 last year, something like that. He shot a huge amount of people. And you know, he's never released the name of who shot Lawrence Gonzalez on New Year's Eve. He was supposed to release the names of those officers a long time ago, and he's never released those names. When are they getting released? Why are you hiding the names of the officers who shot the guy? This was 2.5 months ago. When are we finding out the names of those officers who shot and killed him? That should have been known a long time ago, but you refuse to give the names for some reason. That alone is a reason to fire this guy. That alone. And that's not before you start accounting for all the other scandals and racism and all the stuff that he keeps doing. You can fire him. You have the power to do it. And for some reason, you want to keep this racist MAGA police chief in charge of the LAPD, killing and hurting people, record numbers of LAPD shootings, aiding and abetting ICE,
Excuse me.
lying about it.
Excuse me. You have been warned, officers. She is disruptive. I've already given her warning. I'm going to ask you to leave.
When is the next meeting? But for anyone to state that the chief is racist and then they get backed by a commissioner is what that means.
He had 1 minute when he was interrupted. He had 1 minute. Add 7 seconds.
I was in from the camera roll.
Give him 7 seconds.
Captain, sir, can you get up? Thank you. Also, chief, investigate the woman escorting me out for association with Anthony Avon. Thank you.
Does he get 7 more seconds? Yeah, does he get his time back?
You may proceed.
Okay, well, surprised that you didn't just keep her and then give her priority and then remove me for her disrupting my comment. That's what you did last week when someone disrupted a comment, is you gave priority to that person to speak next above everyone else and then removed the person who was speaking when that person disrupted. So I'm surprised you didn't do that this week. So we got a few items on the consent agenda. We have, let's see, we have a donation for the West Valley Bureau to go party with ICE out in the desert. Yeah. You keep supporting this event, even though you can do a quick Google search and find out that ICE participates in this event. They host and celebrate ICE. So, one more thing, it kind of came out during the Charter Commission that it's you who has the power to implement policies, so where's the sanctuary policy? You should do it. Why is it agenda?
Next, we have caller 8404. Caller ending 8404, you're on.
Hello?
Call the next speaker, please.
Hello? What items would you like to speak on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to speak on a CCW item.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, you have 1 minute.
Okay. I just want to say I applied for my CCW in 2023. I got approved in September of 2024, and I still haven't been called to come pick up my CCW license. And I was just wondering, how long will it take? That's it.
Sir, you would need to call the commission office after the meeting's over. 213-236-1400.
Repeat that number, please.
Please.
Area code 213
Mhm.
236
236.
1400.
Okay. Is there anybody in particular that I need to speak with or ask for?
No, anybody that answers it should be able to help you out.
Call the next
Okay.
speaker, please.
The next speaker, please, is
Thank you.
Megan.
It was said by another community member last week, and it's worth repeating. The gymnastics that you all perform to continue to claim that you don't collaborate with ICE. What definition could you possibly be using for the word collaboration? LAPD surveils Los Angelinos at every turn, including through flock safety cameras, and aggregates that data into databases accessible by ICE, but you also completely run searches on behalf of them, as was reported last year. Apparently, you go and party with them in the desert. You show up to ICE operations to ensure that they can happen, not to protect the people who called you for help, as we learned in that presentation last week. And in fact, last week, as soon as an LAPD officer said that an ICE officer had struck somebody with their car and injured them, somebody watching that feed told them to shut up real quick, didn't they? So you won't even say anything that remotely maligns ICE in public. And that is because LAPD is ICE. You are on the same side, which is the wrong side of every fight for equality and freedom that this country has ever seen. And Jeff over here, I am so sorry. Does this ease your consciousness to bring up the hot topics you see on social media with regards to policing? But we all know it's performative because your personal wealth is tied to contracts with the LAPD and has been ever since your daddy was on this commission before you. So you bringing up these issues does less than nothing. What would do something is to end your contracts with the LAPD and denounce this body for the harm that it causes this community. Rasha has a daughter and yet can't help getting in a dig on a toddler making noise in the back of the room. And I'm just curious, Rasha, what do you think your daughter will think when she grows up of the work that you did here, protecting the LAPD, who regularly, on a regular basis, rapes women, abuses children, rapes children, and you go out of your way to cover it up, to make it okay. And I am not going to forget, it was 2 years ago, you saying LAPD is the best police department in the world. You should be so totally ashamed of yourself. I still have 30 seconds left. Wow, that's a rarity. Fabian, nobody can ever hear you when you ask a question. I didn't get a chance to speak that week, but there was a week where instead of asking a question, you just bragged about a conference that you went to. That was really lovely. You all sit here and protect Jim McDonnell, who wasn't reelected as sheriff last time because he was collaborating with ICE. You are collaborating with ICE. These kidnappings and this violence that we see from ICE is you. In your block safety contract, fuck the LAPD.
The next speaker, William Good.
Good morning. So it's pretty clear that Jim McDonnell's LAPD, Karen Bass's LAPD, is protecting ICE. We saw it last week in the meeting here with that weird moment when Deputy Chief Hurtado was giving a presentation on 911 calls related to ICE, where somebody was injured by ICE. You'd think the community should be able to know who was involved with that and what happened there. And that presentation was mandated by the mayor. And during that presentation, we got that airhead Espinoza gets up, walks over to the guy from the constitutional policing, who then whispers to Hurtado and tells him to shut up. What the fuck is that about? Why are you making him shut up? I mean, quite honestly, Hurtado probably should shut up. Teresa, I saw you gushing over him. But that same Hurtado, there's a woman in this room who has a stay-away order against him. A woman that works for you has a stay-away order against him, and you're fucking gushing over him. Shame on you, Teresa. Constantly shame on you. Now, you mentioned the topic of demonstrably false complaints. Let me give you guys a rundown. If you're violated at a scene, let's say a cop does an unlawful search against you, You ask for a supervisor. The supervisor comes to the scene. You say you want to file a complaint. The supervisor starts intaking that complaint. And right there on the spot, if they decide that it is demonstrably false, they throw away that complaint, and that's it. That's the end of the investigation. It's over. Now, you remember that guy, Joshua Sportiello? He's the guy who punched that guy in the face. The guy was handcuffed, had hands behind his back. He punched him in his face, all on video. And because of the media attention that got, these guys must have did a deep dive into his complaint history. And a month before that, he had a complaint that was, the sergeant recommended, demonstrably false. But when they went and looked at the body cam video and the dash cam video, they saw this guy was lying. He did an illegal search, did a bunch of illegal shit. And no one would have known about it if it weren't for the media attention. Why? Because that complaint was buried as demonstrably false. Now, they started using this back in 2002. They said, we're going to start throwing out frivolous complaints to speed up the process. But since then, the use of it has exploded, particularly in recent years. Now, in 2018, there were 12 demonstrably false findings. 2019, 40. 2020, 27. 2022, 21, 37. 2022, 175. 2023, 375. And then another 350 last year. What the fuck are we doing here?
Next, we have Julie.
Hi, I may be short with this, but I'm going to be bringing up the subject of Scientology, and I'm going to piggyback off the ICE issue that the previous speaker to William Good was discussing. If ICE really wants to do a good job, hey, ICE and LAPD, you have some indentured servants being held captive probably in the blue buildings because the Scientology cult, trafficking cult, uses illegitimate R1 visas. They are illegitimately getting people to come here to be ministers. However, they use them as slave labor. That's wrong. So if you really want to do a service and be a good citizen, ICE and you LAPD as well, maybe you can help rescue some people and rescue their visas and their documents because they're here illegally under the duress of a cult. That's illegal to do that to people, to sway them to come to this country to work as a slave under the guise of a religion. It's absolutely outrageous. It's just absolutely outrageous. And I really hope that you also have read that book, the Jamie Mustard book of Child X. I hope you really, really studied what's going on in there and realize that you really have to get the Scientology cult off of your CPABs. It's just unbelievable that you would have people like that on your CPABs. You know, isn't there supposed to be a separation between church and state? And this cult is not even recognized as a religion in other countries. It's just not recognized as a religion. And I've been in those rooms. There's nothing religious about it. I've been in one of the orgs in New York. They do not do prayers. There's nothing. So there's really nothing to protect that group from because it's not even a religion. It's a big scam, and you're being scammed by letting these people stay on your CPABs and pray for the children that are being forced into this cult. Bye.
The next speaker, please, Tran Son Ha.
Thank you. Good morning, Chip, and good morning, LAPD headquarters. Thank you, everybody here, and thank you for all of you come here. We fight for for protect human rights. So I'm here fighting for better America. So then, you know, my history, I have a lot of trouble with the police. They did wrong to me and terrible, unbelievable wrong. But I still love them. I don't blame the police for that problem, but I blame the system control in America wrong. The system wrong in the whole country. We have a lot of trouble. You know, they use the police to attack this everybody, and they use the healthcare and killing people. You know, some of you hear the complaint about the mental health. You know, the mental health we blame to the healthcare system. No, I'm talking to, I'm just with you. No, I'm not against you. I'm love all of you, but yeah.
Excuse me, there's
No,
no
it's okay.
dialogue here. He's got the floor.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I with you. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I have the, you know, fight with for Protect America in Huntington Beach every weekend. But a lot of people attack me. I don't care. But they understand me. I'm not fight for me. I'm protect everybody, even the president. You know, the like I said, the country wrong with the president, failed Supreme Court, failed the healthcare system. It's everything. It's horrible. It's horrible. I think I am the only one to stand up to fighting against them, but there's nobody doing that. You know, it's horrible. I say like, I am a poor man. I'm a handicapped man. I come here doing this job. You know, everybody say that fucking crazy, man. It is very terrible. It's terrible. But if I don't doing this, I'm telling all of you, America, you just fighting never stop. They don't care you. They don't care you. Yeah, they're evil. They kill everybody. It's very scary. But if y'all support me, and I cannot doing this, but with your support, we will change this. It's better for everybody. It's also a better America around the world. Thank you very much. Love all of you.
Next, we have Philip Tabby.
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Last week at the police commission, Chief German Hurtado, you thought human trafficking and human smuggling were the same thing. Those are two different crimes. Hurtado, let me break this down with crayons. Human trafficking involves exploitation, also known as persecution. Human smuggling involves illegally bringing people into the country. You serve as the immigration liaison, and that makes the mix-up hard to ignore. When you brushed the issue aside as semantics and said it meant the same thing, the obvious question followed. If the person reporting trafficking numbers cannot tell the difference, were those reports accurate? And FYI, Hurtado, the Human League was a band from the 80s. Just because they have the word human in the name does not make them the same thing. During the presentation, Chief 30 by 30 stayed glued to the pages in front of him. When questions moved off script, the answers drifted right back to the paper, not answering the questions. Jim, you promoted this guy. You tried to smooth it over and force a round peg into a square hole. Then came the interruption from the commander, which created its own optics. 30 by 30 Hurtado, a nickname tied to him trying to date 30% of the women by 2030. At this rate, he has a better chance of hitting that target than you do of fielding enough officers for the Olympics. After all of this played out in front of the commission, Teresa, you still congratulated him on the presentation. By the end of the exchange, the moment began to feel like the movie Anchorman, LAPD's own Ron Burgundy, also known as Chief 30 by 30, standing there with the script. Go fuck yourself, San Diego. You know, LAPD is the best in the nation. So please address concerns around Scientology. Please protect the children and get rid of the COVID mandate and return the blue line flag. I yield the rest of my time. God bless the LAPD.
The next speaker, Audit LA.
Good morning. I want to discuss, obviously, it's going to be about Scientology. And I want to go on what Jill was saying about human trafficking and labor trafficking. Scientology is one of the biggest purveyors of the R1 visa, the religious visa. And the rules around that is that they have to be doing religious work. But when you look at what they do, a lot of it is not religious work. They're not allowed to be security guards and do labor and do all these things, okay? But they are found to be doing that all the time. Scientology is not allowed to abuse the system to create a workforce that benefits them, taking away needed jobs from, union people. We're a union city, okay? Same thing when they do their street permits, even if they are not on an R1 visa. And also when they are on an R1 visa, they hold their documents. These people are not allowed to just say, give me my documents, I'm leaving. That doesn't exist, okay? And I'm against I'm not for all these ICE raids, but why are they exempt from the blue building? There may be people in that building that would actually like to be rescued from the living hell they're going through, okay? But they're exempt because, Scientology highly supports, the current administration with a lot of money. Look at the Dugans, look at Grant Cardone, look at John Mappin. They're all Scientology, okay? And they're very much in for all this. So they get, the government looks the other way. But what about even people who are not, on R1 visas? They're here. They're allowed to be in Sea Org. They're allowed to sign their life away and get a stipend. But still, when they're working on public works projects or working, they're not allowed to get those stipends for what we consider labor. There's laws against this. And even though they break this rule and these laws daily, abusing their own people in a multitude of ways, okay, they're still on your CPAB, sir, and Commissioner, they're still on it. Janet Wieland is not allowed to talk to her son because he left the Sea Org, okay, but she's on your CPAB. James Richardson is on your religious council. He married a child bride, okay, and they didn't do it in California where a judge evaluates to see whether or not this is, the right thing for the child. They snuck him to Vegas because at the time, they didn't check those things. And he's on your religious council. You really need to look at this. You need to please take it seriously. And, Scientology is trying to really overturn, the conviction of their rapist. I can't think of his name right now. Danny Masterson. It's got to stop.
The next speaker, Lara FM.
Hi, good morning. I'm going to echo what Audit LA just said, literally every single thing. I've been going over, obviously for personal reasons, for my own family members and the people that are stuck in the Sea organization that feel they cannot leave mentally, physically. You have Odo, the security guards, literally has a tap-in line somewhere with the police station, maybe the Northeast station, where the security guards get called when somebody calls anywhere around that property asking for the police. So that needs to be looked into. That happened just recently again. There's some connection with security Scientology and the LAPD where when somebody calls or they run off the property, or the liquor store, or whoever it is, they contact security at the Scientology base. That is illegal. That is literally people trying to leave because they're hearing protesters or people like me saying there's options, they can leave, this isn't right, David Miscavige is a fraud. The city is being infiltrated by Scientology's programming that they literally have been teaching all the Sea Org members, like myself as children, since babies, how to train and manipulate with PR the city and money. So that needs to be looked into. Again, with the Sea Org members not being able to, leave at any time they want because their passports and their documents are being held by OSA, Office of Special Affairs. What religious entity has an Office of Special Affairs? It's literally an office of illegal behavior. That needs to be shut down. I have a solution for right now. What we can do right away is that the LAPD can have somebody go in and do a psychological evaluation, just a basic psych eval on all these Sea Org members, and you're gonna find out how insane their thinking is and how they are trapped mentally and why they can't leave. If we could work on that specifically, just asking them if they feel safe to go to the local hospital right across the street, do they need to get permission? Just basic caring questions to really see how deep Scientology has these people infiltrated. Because these infiltrations, like Janet Whelan, who's on the CPAPs, or you guys are sitting there giving them permits through Public Works and whatever it is, you're allowing this trafficking. It doesn't look like a gang when it looks similar to the city. It looks similar to the LAPD. It is a gang, and it's spiritually like manipulating and controlling people. So when you say, oh, they can just get up and leave, they're 18 years and older, that's not true. Not when you were born and raised in this as a baby, or your parents and their parents were all involved in the infiltration of the LA city, let alone every other city in America. So I really, really, really recommend this. Please give an evaluation, have somebody go and do a psych evaluation on every.
The next speaker, please, Jasenka Fasiska. Okay. The next speaker will be Jason Reedy.
So as Andrew said, 10 weeks have passed and the LAPD is still withholding the name of the killer pig who murdered Lawrence Gonzalez. You already give your pigs up to 3 days to get interviewed, or what the LAPD likes to frame as 1 to 2 sleep cycles. And now in this case, you've withheld his name without giving a single fucking reason. On top of that, invoking sleep in this context is so demonic, given that your pigs have made sure someone never wakes up again. So again, release his name, or have an explanation as to why you can't release it. Now we're hearing that Captain Robin Patillo, who led the Recruitment and Employment Division when it was rocked by last year's racist and sexist scandals, being welcomed back with open arms despite a sustained complaint that was found to be out of statute. In February 2025, McDonald sat before this commission and said that the behavior within the division and its leadership was of, quote, grave concern to all of you and certainly to all of us, adding that he'd been working with the Inspector General on the investigation from the beginning. So the question is, how the fuck was this allowed to be to fall out of statute? Now, the Pinkest of Pigs, Jim McDonald, spoke about how these pigs would be held accountable, but instead, their leader, Robin, got a year-long paid vacation. Rasha, you said and spoke about how this sent a message that to pigs that such behavior was tolerated, and asked for more visibility on the types of discipline that is meted out on these matters, including DUIs. And yet you can't point to a single time that the LAPD has presented a DUI presentation on duty and off duty to this commission. Can you? You can't. Yes, my love. Detective 3, Mark Furness, assistant pig for the advocate section for the Board of Rights hearings, came here during the November 18, 2025 commission meeting and revealed that one of your civilian hearing examiners stated that a pig using a racial slur wasn't serious because they've heard worse at their workplace. And just so people know, these examiners are selected by this commission. And some of these so-called civilians are the reserve pigs that you like to get your numbers on. And Furness even stated that the core values that this department claims to stand by on this wall aren't even the same values that your civilian examiners hold themselves to. Now, Marquise Harris Dawson, the resident blackface on white supremacy at City Council, revealed that he's been pulled over 4 times in a city vehicle for nothing. One of the LAPD's favorite reasons to pull over black men, driving while black. Now, I'll note that this is the same Marquise who's voted to take money from a food aid program and gift it to LAPD overtime. He's the same one that held a recruitment event for the LAPD on Juneteenth, and he, at the request of former Chief Michael Moore, deleted what was perceived to be a critical tweet of the LAPD, replacing it with a positive and supportive message. It just shows that no matter how much of a bootlicker you are, you still have to deal with the LAPD targeting you. Now, the fact that Danny Tabor, in your appointment to this commission, it wasn't mentioned by you that your own family is LAPD is beyond me. Danny revealed at a meeting 2 weeks ago that his sister-in-law retired after 30 years as a civilian employee that was part of the communications division working in 9/11, in 911. She heaped praise upon the same pig, Jim McDonald, that Danny is supposed to oversee. Is that not a conflict of interest? Yes. That your family is LAPD?
Excuse me, the people that are standing up back there need to have a seat, please. Please be
next-
seated.
The next speaker is Grace.
So you continue maintaining LAPD's relationship with flock safety and automatic license plate readers while claiming LA is a progressive city that protects women, queer and trans people, and reproductive freedom. But ALPR systems are already being weaponized for gendered violence across this country. These systems create a searchable archive of people's movements. Police can reconstruct someone's daily life, where they sleep, who they visit, what clinic they went to, what neighborhood they drove through. In a society shaped by gendered violence, that power becomes another tool for harassment, coercion, and control. And we don't have to speculate, it's already happening. In Wisconsin, former Milwaukee police officer used the flock system more than 170 times to track a woman he was dating and her ex-boyfriend. Officers in Florida, Kansas, and Georgia have also been caught using license plate reader databases to monitor romantic partners and people in their personal lives. ALPR systems are also used to investigate abortion seekers. In Texas, a sheriff's officer searched a nationwide license plate database to locate a woman suspected of obtaining an abortion. And LAPD itself has promoted license plate readers to target sex workers. LAPD training materials describe placing ALPR cameras near areas where sex workers work to identify vehicles and build cases. In an interview in 2024, Heidi Fieldstein Soto said her office has already sent over 1,200 Dear John letters to criminalize sex work. So when you maintain flock surveillance, you're not preventing violence. You're expanding the infrastructure that allows police to track intimate relationships, reproductive care, and survival strategies. Meanwhile, LA brands itself as a pro-choice and a safe space for queer and trans people. But the technologies you fund don't stop at city limits. ALPR data flows through national networks that can be accessed by local, state, and federal agencies in states criminalizing abortion and targeting trans healthcare. And if you think the public should trust police with this level of tracking power, remember your own history. Former Police Commission President Errol Southers used confidential criminal records to stalk his ex-wife's new boyfriend. Time and time again, LAPD officers have been exposed for stalking, harassing, and abusing women and former partners. Across the country, cities are recognizing the danger. At least 30 cities canceled their flock contracts in just the first 2 months of this year. And cities like Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Mountain View, and Los Altos have already ended their partnerships. So why is Los Angeles moving in the opposite direction? Flock doesn't prevent violence. It expands state control over our bodies, our movements, and our relationships. If you want to prove us wrong, start by ending LAPD's partnership with Flock Safety now.
The next speaker is Q.
On March 3rd last week, you had a presentation on immigration enforcement. In this presentation, as it's already been mentioned, you had a cheeky little DHS agent walk up to your two officers and subsequently tell them to stop the presentation. You all even got mad because you said, oh no, we need our transparency. In that presentation, something that nobody seems to be mentioning in the top of this board is the fact that your officers admitted to the fact that DHS called them asking for your aid and support in an immigration enforcement raid. When you were abducting our people, you got a call from DHS to aid them. And then you said, oh yeah, we did a call back with Homeland Security. They said they're all gone. A call back implying that they called you initially. So, Teresa, when you're so concerned every week about people not calling 911, is it that you're concerned that DHS isn't calling you enough anymore? On March 3rd, that same day, you also announced that you'll be conducting an internal audit of your partnership and data sharing with Flock Safety. You can't audit a system designed to abduct and murder. LAPD's audit is a classic smoke and mirrors tactic designed to delay us. But while you do an audit of yourself, we will continue to you will simultaneously be continuing to share Flock's data with federal agencies. LAPD's self-audit will be filled with lies, but either way, we already know that Flock data is being exchanged between LAPD and ICE. In fact, on March 2nd, the day before you announced your audit, Flock issued an apology stating ICE accessed their data. This is straight out of the corporate violence playbook. Do violence, then say sorry so you don't lose as much money. But no apology will bring back our neighbors abducted by ICE. No corporate accountability will bring home our loved ones who have been murdered in ICE detention and state custody. LAPD and ICE brag about how streamlined their information sharing is via fusion centers such as JRIC, the Joint Regional Intelligence Center, and NCRIC, the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center. And Flock's own transparency portal boasts of the information sharing of Flock ALPR data between DHS's, NCRIC, and LAPD. And in Los Angeles, JRIC is staffed by LAPD. In fact, a huge amount of police overtime goes to JRIC overtime with the purpose of aiding DHS in their investigations. Your own documents brag about how fusion centers make it so that a federal officer and an LAPD officer can sit right next to each other. So even as Flock puts up fake guardrails that won't protect us, we know that what we need is an end to LAPD's partnership with them. You've claimed for years that you don't share license plate reader data with ICE, but we have proof you do. And even Flock Safety has proof you do. That means you need to cancel your partnership with Flock, but instead you're delaying and denying, pretending an audit will protect my neighbors and family. We protect each other, and you cause the harm. We don't need an audit to tell us what we already know. Flock AOPR data is used to criminalize us, to abduct us, and to deliver us on a platter to ICE. We don't need an audit. We need LAPD to shut down all partnerships with Flock Safety immediately.
The next speaker, Hamed Khan.
The classic corporate playbook where Boeing's intentional neglect leading to airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people, and who cares because they were in Indonesia and Ethiopia, so that goes on. And of course the Firestone Ford faulty tires, let people die. Let people die, will issue an apology. And then, of course, remember of the BP oil spill. So this is the corporate malfeasance that we are dealing with. So let's just walk back a little bit that what's been going on. So we sent a letter, we had a press conference and sent a letter last Tuesday demanding an end to Flock Safety. So in 2015-16 session, the state of California passed SB 34, which was like a policy thing and mandating guardrails and all of that. So let's see, in 2020, February 2020, LA Times has a headline, LAPD automatic license plate readers pose a massive privacy risk. And in that, they just dug deeper and found out the same thing out of 320 million detections that the LAPD had. 99.9% per LA Times said that they had no criminal investigation, nothing at all, but all that database, their data is going up. Then in 2023, there was another audit that was done. And what did we find out in that? Well, so 71 agencies under Senate bill that they had violated SB 34 in 2023, and including, of course, these are California law enforcement agencies. In 2024, Rob Bonta, who's the Attorney General, issued an advisory with specific guidelines as to how license plate reader data should be maintained. And what we find out in 2025, last year with Cal Matters, did that investigation, that how LAPD was sharing data with federal agencies, and LAPD didn't even bother to respond to Cal Matters and even come back and clarify what's going on. So this is the lineage that we are talking about, but what is going on? Well, enter Joe Buscaino. How many people remember Joe Buscaino? A 15 years LAPD cop and a managing partner for Ballard Partners, which is the major lobbying firm for Flock Safety. Joe Buscaino was a 15-year LAPD cop and then was a city council member from 2012 to 2022. So here we have it again. That, that revolving door, cozy relationships, just kind of constantly like, okay, he's one of us. Let people get fucked, let people die, let families be banished from here, let families be broken, let children be put in cages. But Joey Buckets is our man. That's where the money is. That's where the cozy relationships are. That's where the revolving doors are. Who gives a shit what people die? Right? Who gives a shit if our people are being en masse deported? But these folks, this is what it is. What are you going to do, Garcia? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Scobin? What are you going to do? Tabor, do you have anything to say to that? That this whole lineage of malfeasance, this whole lineage, this whole timeline of corruption, this whole timeline of so much violence against our people, and then you're still sitting over there? End that partnership now. End that partnership.
The next speaker, please. Dr. Melina Abdullah.
The first thing that happened as I walked into this meeting was seeing a cop harassing a father and 2 children. Then they tried to force us outside just as we were greeting each other and getting ready to subject ourselves to a search of our belongings, all to enter what's supposed to be a public meeting. Last week, someone was harassed on their way out merely for standing and waiting for someone in the restroom. Rasha, yes, there is noise in the gallery. It is a public meeting. With that, public includes children. Perhaps if these meetings were in community, not in police headquarters, and in the evening or in the weekend, that might be different. But alas, this body refuses to do this despite years of advocacy for this and a policy requiring this to be the case. The ongoing harassment of the people here to speak, the people you are supposed to represent, is further indicative of how you, not just this body, but as an extension of the police department, seek to control and oppress people. I cannot sit for long periods of time. The enforcement of such policies is deeply ableist. I need to be able to sit and stand at my leisure because I experience pain because I have a broken vertebrae because of police brutality. This is not anything I should have to disclose to any of you. Also, we are not buying the performance of you asking questions just for you to rubber stamp every murder and fail to hold any cop accountable in any meaningful way. Concerns about the disciplinary process is long overdue, but to pretend like it is just the chief who is not only inept, but also deeply corrupt to the point that police violence exploded while you were sheriff and that you were expelled from that office and now you're sitting here and we have to deal with your dumbass again. The pattern of allowing people to fail up is one of our biggest issues. I noticed in the chief's report there was no update about the murder of Keith Porter. What is the status of the investigation of Brian Palacios? I'm guessing that now you, Pig McDonald, who loves ICE so much, is that your new best friend? Dismantle Flock and all surveillance programs. You hid Flock and lied about it. We know there are other programs that will be unearthed. The fact that you have a sister-in-law who is a cop is absolutely unacceptable. You should not be here. Dismantle Flock and all surveillance programs. The irony of you to give the Pig McDonald the ability to go to a memorial for pigs when we know that police are far less likely to be killed than anybody. It is the world in the top 25 most dangerous jobs is number 22. But you know what's actually more dangerous is being black in this city, is being black in this country, because a black person is far more likely to die at the hands of police than you are or any police is to be killed in the line of duty. Look up the facts. You're focusing on the wrong fucking thing once again. Arrest Brian Palacios and fuck all of y'all.
The next speaker is T.
So everyone on this commission is a fraud. Show of hands, how many of you guys were elected to serve in this position? Anyone? Really? How many people here were appointed to this position? Are you just not going to answer the questions? Because I know all of you are appointed. None of you actually serve the people. So let's just get the facts straight. Dr. Tabor, you have a PhD. How important is it to research the positions, the history of the positions that you serve on? This commission was created after the Rodney King beating, yes? And since then, in the 90s, LAPD is still the most murderous police force in the nation. Violence and police brutality against my people continue to rise every single year, despite 2020, despite all of the fake sham commitments that you gave to the people. You said that you were going to make reforms, hold the police accountable. We know that you won't do that because you are not elected by the people. You don't serve the people. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is to do the bidding of the mayor, who is deeply in bed with LAPPL and the LAPD and the LA Sheriff's Department. We know this. So why do you guys keep pretending that you are a civilian oversight body? Dr. Tabor, this whole situation with your sister-in-law is deeply concerning. But I'm not surprised because all of you guys have ties to this punitive, anti-Black, carceral justice system. All of you have conflicts of interest. The first one being that you are not democratically elected and you are not civilians. This is not a civilian oversight board. So this commission is rife with contradictions, with bias, and It's frankly very clear how much you have disdain for human life when you continue to harass people and their children, their babies. They're not even like 12-year-olds. They're actually babies. So yes, they're gonna be disruptive. If you have a kid, you know that they cry, right? How can we expect you all to enforce policies that protect human lives? You can't even protect the babies in this room. You want to police them before they have the chance to grow and have conscious thought. That's ridiculous. So I'm not going to sit here and waste my time, waste my breath telling you to do your jobs correctly because you weren't, I was going to say you weren't elected. We know that, right? I could just end the sentence there. But you weren't put on this commission to do any sort of job correctly. You were put on this commission to pacify people, to pretend like we live in a democracy, and to shut everyone up. We know that LAPD is full of Nazis and Klan members, and we know that you're all fascists and you're fascist collaborators, and we're gonna continue coming here every week so that you get the point. When it happens to one of your kids, I don't wanna hear any crying.
The next speaker, Bob Akili. I'm sorry, Greg Akili. The card says.
I was asked to leave and given these warnings. I've been arrested here twice. I've been banned from this commission for a year. And and I told you this, Danny, we have a adversarial relationship with you all. We don't trust you because like King said, you all are more interested in order than justice. And we come here and you treat us as if we are an annoyance. You all should just meet with the police and not invite us at all. And then that way you can just hear what they gotta say and leave. But as long as you open the door to us, we are going to come. And we are going to demand to be heard. And the fact that you ask questions without any demands is borderline useless. Like, what is the timeline to get a response about about the murder of Keith Porter? I've asked that last week. And you aren't even curious to say, is it gonna happen in 6 months or 3 months? No. That's why we come here, and that's why I have been disruptive, and I continue to be that way. Partly because if we don't disrupt what you do, you'll rubber stamp what they do and move on. If we don't show up and challenge you, you'll be worth nothing to, you can buy that now. And I am going to use these 77 years of mine and this voice that I still have to challenge you to do simple shit. What is the timeline? When will we find out what the status is of the person that killed Keith Porter? And we know his name, but we don't know his name because you shared it, because we found out. But the fact that you don't even ask that question is an indication of two things, at least from my mind. One, somebody's is covering up. And two, it's connected to corruption. We have seen what has happened without accountability, responsibility, and consequence. You are the second most murderous police force in this country and the most costly. We have a budget deficit today because of the money that you all have to pay out. Give us a timeline. When are you coming back with a report and completing the investigation on the murder of Keith Porter? Thank you.
The next speaker, Michael Williams.
Oh, damn, Michael, I wish I could have gone after you.
I'm still here for Keith Porter Jr. I don't care what none of y'all are talking about, what you all are talking about. Like, I don't care. Keith Porter Jr. was murdered by an ICE officer, off duty, had no business doing anything that he did that night. Didn't have business being in LA because ICE shouldn't be in LA. And he was murdered. And we still haven't even got any information from the LAPD. None. The information that we got is from community. That's why when Baba said, give us the name. No, yeah, damn right. Give us the name. Verify that it's Brian Palacios. We haven't even gotten that. His family hasn't even gotten that. And you allow this. You all allow this. You have the ability to get rid of this man. This man has made it clear that when it comes to ICE, he doesn't intend to follow the law. He's made that very clear with his opposition to the sanctuary bill when he was the sheriff, with his opposition to the mask ban when that was state law, and with his refusal to even say the name of the ICE officer who murdered Keith Porter Jr. Won't even say his name. And what are y'all doing about it? Nothing. And we know y'all are doing nothing. We know y'all are doing nothing. Because y'all have been doing nothing since this commission started, since y'all got the position. You get up here and you do this PR stunt where you talk about all these things that the police are doing that you can't verify actually has any ability to lower crime. You don't show the causality between that. You only show the correlation. So you bring up all these stats about how crime is lowered, even though you guys are understaffed, so it's obviously not police who are lowering the crime, because you're 1,000 cops under. And then you want people to sit up here and act nice to y'all and be civil with y'all when y'all are literally allowing people to be murdered. You are literally allowing people to be murdered. And you want us to be civil and nice to you and just sit here and listen. Okay, let me listen to Chief McDonald lie some more, hide the truth. Let me sit here and listen to y'all praise the same cops that are allowing people to be stolen off of the streets, hit by cars with no accountability. You have ICE hitting people with no accountability from this man, running them over. And y'all are supposed to be the ones who are supposed to be protecting us, holding them accountable. It's a joke. Y'all are the best example of why the police need to be abolished.
The next speaker, please. Michael Ackerman.
For unknown reasons, when the LAPD reports crime statistics, one that is routinely left out is extortion. I find this repeated omission to be dishonest, and you should find it concerning. It implies that extortion is not a major concern. If the LAPD were honest, it would include extortion figures along with other with the other crimes, along with the caveat that the true figures are higher, since victims are afraid to report extortion, and only the most inept criminals would fail to cover it up when they follow through on threats. If the LAPD were really honest, they would add that the extortion rates are likely vastly higher than reported cases that police don't always report extortion allegations.
All right, that congregation back there, if you are planning to leave, please do so or have a seat. That's fine, but I'm talking to the rest. If you're leaving, please leave, otherwise have a seat. You are being disruptive. Have a seat or you're going to be removed. I'm not talking to you. Thank you. Hey, thank you. You can leave.
If the LAPD were honest, it would include extortion figures along with the other crimes, along with the caveat that the true figures are higher since victims are afraid to report extortion and only the most inept criminals would fail to cover it up when they follow through on threats. If the LAPD were really honest, they would add that the extortion rates are likely vastly higher than reported cases, that police don't always record extortion allegations, that it is not under control or being handled, and that anyone who says otherwise is lying. On another topic, I suggest you take a field trip to the County Board of Supervisors. They have their own problems, believe me, but they know how to run an efficient public comment session.
The next speaker, Jonathan Foster.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. I know I support the police, but I also got a lot to say about the gross stuff. I wanted to say you got us accepting 3 minutes. You had us down to 2 or 1, and 3 feels like it's good, but you're still committing a criminal act, offending the Brown Act. Yep, and you two got to go. Yep, you two got to go. I didn't think that October 7th was glorious. I didn't personally think that at all. I thought it was a terrible day. Glad they got everybody back, but all of it to me, Isaac and Ishmael is what it looks like when there is nothing but the hatred of Jesus. Keith Porter, ICE officer, whatever his name is, I can't read it. Yeah, Palacios, thank you, but he was not on the job. He was a general citizen, and all citizens are instructed to call 911. That's what his duty was. Call 911. Torres, remember Torres shot him? So the time it took to get the gun out for the officer who was standing her ground, she did great, and shoot, is the time it would have taken to realize with body armor protection, that's the time it would have taken to find out that he was unarmed and there was no need to shoot bullets. And the officer, did you see the officer? He fell back like this, and he was like, go, boom, 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 boom. Do they teach that in training? Where did the bullets go? That's the same as Keith Porter shooting the bullet off and coming back down. Where did those bullets go? Okay, so the Brown Beret Reconquista Teresa. You don't care about me. I hear what you say. I see what happens if an illegal alien killed B. Jonathan. Now I know what would happen after I was murdered. You would just keep letting the illegal aliens in the country. You were born in Mexico? Yeah. Yes, see, conspiracy is documented, and I was told without a recording, you can't make the arrest.
Communities and their concerns, but also I'll give them the information of exactly what LAPD does and how it does not participate in civil immigration. I think we can always do better, and we're willing to do better, and we're also willing to listen to anyone who could give us advice so we can make our responses much better for the community.
I'm happy to hear that you are open to
So we got it all on recording, all over the state. It's U.S. Code 1324, harboring illegal aliens, 10 years in jail. You should be arrested, all of you. 30 million or more supporters of this. Poop. You don't care about me. I don't care about you. I don't care if you die. You don't care if I die. I don't care if you die.
Madam President, we're at the 1 hour mark and we have 6 cards left. Okay, the next speaker, Aiden.
Greetings, pigs, people. I actually didn't get a chance to pull up my numbers last week. I read the fucking reports for once, and they're disgusting. Even your own internal audits of what you're doing cast so much doubt on the legitimacy of the police department. Even if you don't believe the many people who come in here and tell you what the fuck is wrong with the police, your own internal audit, for example, on pretextual searches, even the way the data is represented, you had a table that was related to searches and evidence recovery rate by race. You did not say how many people of each race were stopped. You listed a recovery rate as basically a percentage of the number of stops that were, the recovery rate was the number of stops that recovered evidence per race divided by the total number of stops. We know that 94% of stops were of black and brown people, mainly black people, also brown people, who make up a smaller percentage of the population than they should be getting stopped that much for. For example, in 2022, out of 696 total searches, 163 searches of black people returned evidence. But we don't know how many times, how many of those 696 searches were black people. I assume it was a fucking lot because you pigs are racist. And I'll echo what someone said earlier. Jim McDonnell is racist. I don't know if people are confused about that in the room. I'm not. Stops overwhelmingly target black and brown people, blah, blah, blah. West Bureau is 6% black, and 43.6% of the pretextual stops were of black people. So if that's not a fucking problem, I don't know what is. You guys are all looking. Miscellaneous places around the room. I'm going to take this last minute just to talk about this meeting. Rasha, when you're even fucking here, you're not paying attention. You're hiding behind your computer screen, hoping that no one will notice you're here. Hoping that no one will remember that you were a part of this body that co-signed the crimes of the LAPD. Fabian, I didn't even know you had a fucking voice until today. You may as well not be here, but like I said in the Charter Reform Commission last week, we may as well not have a police commission. But someone wisely reminded the crowd that actually it's worse to have a police commission than it is to have fucking nothing. And Jim, I hope you fucking remember that. If you weren't here, it would be better for the people. I don't know about all that. Daniel Tabor, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here, dude. Look around. None of these people are representing any kind of thing that you want to be a part of. I don't know if you got lost on the way in. I don't know what's going on, but I'd recommend you leave because this commission is not a place for someone who cares about anyone. You have fucking Teresa, who spends the entire meeting not listening to speakers, not thinking of good questions to ask people, not holding the LAPD accountable and doing her fucking job, but instead looking around the room, telling kids to be quiet, talk eyes.
Your time is up. Your time is up. You're being disruptive.
The next speaker, please, Lisa Simpson.
Or these people in this audience played, I've been signed a goddamn card, right?
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. I've been
You
signed.
are being disruptive.
Excuse me. I've been signed the card. I've been
You are-
signed the card. And y'all lied and said that y'all did not have my card. So first off, let me tell
What
you.
is your name? What is your name?
I am Richard Risher. Okay? I am Richard Risher. 10 years ago, your police officers killed my 18-year-old son.
Excuse me.
64
Excuse me.
shots
You are being
in 3
disruptive.
minutes.
We don't have your card. We don't have your
Excuse me.
card.
We do have her card, ma'am.
You're being
Excuse me, I
disruptive.
did have a
President,
card. I
We do
did
have
have a card.
We do have her card, Madam President. We have her card.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
say
I put in a card.
Say your name. Say your name again, please.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you again. I am Richard Risher. I am the mother of Richard Risher. 10 years ago, I was here. Okay. Don't tell me I didn't do no card. I did a card before all these people. But let me tell you. Let me tell you the games that you like to play. Okay. 10 years ago, 64 shots in 3 minutes. Your officer killed my 18-year-old son. Okay. Y'all haven't changed. Same bullshit. Same toilet. Same day. Different family. Bullshit. You want to sit up here and come at me how you coming at me and play these games that y'all like to play? I watched. Y'all let Black Lives Matter get up here and talk before anybody. Because guess what? They endorse the pigs. They endorse the politicians. Melina Abdullah and Karen Bass are best friends. You can play with all these people, but Lisa Simpson, the mother of Richard Risher, ain't gonna let you fiddle her string, ma'am. You see all these bodies on this goddamn suit? And I'm gonna turn around so you can really see it since you got your glasses on. These are all the men and children from California, no other state, from 2016 to 2022 that y'all officers have killed. And guess what? Y'all did nothing about it. Nothing. Guess why? Y'all don't give a fuck about our men, women, and children. And to set the record straight, Black Lives Matter don't matter either. Huh? They endorse you pigs. That's how y'all get on the board. Black Lives Matter. They asked y'all why y'all not talking about Keith Porter. You know why? Because Black Lives Matter is talking about Keith Porter, and that baby ain't gonna never get no traction. They robbed me for the death of Richard Risher. 1.2 million. They made 528 million in 2020 when George Floyd died. They robbed that family for 128 million. They ain't helped Nairn family on this outfit with all the money they got, and they come up here and shuck and jive with y'all asses and play these games, and y'all let them speak before everybody else. And I put a card in when I first came.
Thank you. Your time is up. Your time is up.
I give a fuck about time when I got a dead son? 10 years, 2,800 bodies in Los Angeles alone. This shit gonna look like a mountain in a minute. When you gonna prosecute any goddamn road cop? You talk about reform, fuck reform, let's talk about redo. Open up all these cases. Get rid of all these road cops and let's do a redo. 2,800 bodies in 10 years? You should be ashamed of your goddamn self. How do you sleep at night? 2,800 bodies by LAPD police officers. 100 cities in one state. This is one city out of 100. Got 2,800 bodies. 10 fucking years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shut up. Thank me.
Thank you.
2,800 bodies.
Call your next.
The next speaker, please, is Ms. Bates. Ms. Bates.
All right. Okay. Okay. You're. All right, officers, you may remove them, please. Call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Charmaine Elizabeth Johnson.
Yes, Charmaine Elizabeth Johnson. I'm one of them people who the LAPD and FBI are murdering. I filed a lawsuit, and Jim McDonald had his lawyer respond. In that response, the LAPD have been preventing me from getting a lawyer. They impeded me of my human rights. You know, in that response, they said I did not follow margins. The line numbers must be placed at the left margin and separated from the text by a vertical column, a space at least 1.5 inches wide. What is that? You are racist, Jim McDonald. How do you sleep at night? I'm being murdered on the street. You know your officers are harassing, stalking, and victimizing me every day. There's nowhere I go and they don't know where I am. Listen to my voice, I can hardly speak. This is being done by them and the FBI also. Last week I went to the police station to make a police report. I was injected on the streets and I was denied a police report. They gave me a card and told me to make the police report online. That's a battery report. The actual system defers you back to the police station if you attempt to make that type of report online. They told me that I needed to do the LAPD's job and go and get camera footage. You know, that's absurd. I've never heard anything so absurd in my entire life. You know, like, how do you sleep at night? I think you are racist to have this kind of response. To have your lawyer type up this type of response to me when your police officers are preventing me from getting legal representation, a lawyer. Criminals, I've never committed a crime in my entire life. I'm a black woman, that's why you're doing this. Criminals are able to get a lawyer. Why am I not? What have I done? Being a black woman? Listen, before this meeting, I went to your restroom. I wasn't late like you'd like to perceive to steal my businesses. I went to the restroom. You have your officers filling the toilets with tissue and urine to make it seem like I've done it. You've got your officers sending people behind me in restrooms, in private spaces to make it seem like I'm this dirty black woman, right? You're racist. The LAPD are laundering my businesses. They're collaborating with ICE, and they have my sister Paulette Johnson laundering my businesses while I'm scrambling on the streets for my life through sedation injections and attempted murder. You're murdering me. I'm one of them. I'm the next job.
Eric Anders.
Is Eric, a photographer who's been documenting the city's response to ICE since June. First of all, the report last week under Executive Directive 17, what are we even doing here? Whistleblower filed a complaint against Deputy Chief Hurtado for lying about why the LAPD used force against a Black Lives Matter protest in 2020. Allegedly, he gave a statement directly contradicted by body cam footage justifying the LAPD's use of force against a protest that did not deserve it. I know that the LAPD investigated itself and found he did nothing wrong, but Commissioner Scobin, your father is quoted in the LA Times article about this whistleblower incident on the side of the whistleblower. Are there not clear conflicts of interest going on here? Is there nobody else who can deliver that report? Hurtado said, regardless of how much we go out there and teach, meaning teach that the LAPD doesn't work with ICE, there are some people that don't want to believe that. That's offensive. It's not that we don't want to believe you guys are innocent, it's that you're not innocent. Last week I said we were clearly defining what it means to assist in a federal immigration enforcement, some specific way that the public does not understand. Thankfully, on Saturday, you gave me an instructive example. Dozens of LAPD officers showed up outside the Metro Detention Center, days after you all claimed that it's department policy to clearly communicate to bystanders that you have a neutral role. They showed up, leapt out of their cars, batons out, and just started yelling, "Leave the area, leave the area, leave the area." They moved us all the way down to the end of the block, yelling, threatening arrest, batons out on the loudspeaker saying, "Walk away." And then when they had cleared that block of Alameda, then they declared it an unlawful assembly, told people where to stand, and gave a time limit. That's not a clear directive to the public about your neutral role. That is assistance. They also said, if you have a camera and a lanyard around your neck, you are media, your spot is by the fire hydrant, turn around and go there now. That's not how you're allowed to define what the media is, and you can't force journalists who aren't interfering with police operations to go to an observation zone. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. You claim that all of that doesn't count as assisting ICE. How? What word is different? What word means something different to you there? Because they weren't actively throwing a flower vendor in a van at that moment, that's not immigration enforcement? That's the building where they're keeping people in cages so crowded that they sleep standing up, where they're denying medical care, where they're denying the ability to talk to a lawyer. Those things are also part of how the federal government is, quote, enforcing immigration. Clearing the public sidewalk near that building so that people can't taunt the guards is assistance. What are we doing here?
We have Gregory. Gregory?
This is our last speaker. Gregory?
He's right there with the hand.
All right, we're going to take
Gregory?
is he coming?
He's right here.
Is Greg here?
Not answering.
Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
To search out. I don't have money to go to a private detective, so my neighbors advised me to come to you and tell you, show you what is going on in my phone. My phone has been hacked and I cannot do anything. I'm doing a little business on my phone, but the phone has been hacked. I'm requesting you all officers, to help me to recover my phone number, which is with me for the last 15 years.
Thank you, Gregory. Go with this officer and he'll try to help you out.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Madam Secretary?
We have no other speakers, Madam President.
All right, we move forward to the consent agenda items.
We have consent agenda items 3A and 3B. Would any commissioners like to pull any items? Commissioner Shields?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Garcia?
No, thanks.
Commissioner Scobin?
No.
Commissioner Tabor? Commissioner Sanchez Gordon?
No, thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the recommended board action items for agenda item 3A and 3B?
I move that we approve 3A and 3B on the consent agenda items.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 4A, the department's report relative to Communications Division 60-day return. And we have Captain Choyogi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Police Commissioners, Executive Director Sibley, Chief McDonald, Inspector General Barragan, Deputy City Attorney De La Guerra. I am Captain Alex Chogyoji, Commanding Officer of Communications Division. Joining me today are Senior Police Service Representative Robert Lopez, to my right. He's Officer in charge of Operations Support Unit, and Police Service Representative Justine Guerrero, and she's the Diversion Programs Coordinator. On January 13, 2026, Communications Division made a presentation to the Board of Police Commissioners regarding improvements to 911 call response times. The Commission requested additional information on a couple of items. One was the frequency with which calls were redirected to unarmed crisis response services return as police calls for service. And number two, the Communications Division's training and technology needs, including associated costs in a form of a 60-day report back. In 2025, the Los Angeles Police Department Communications Division redirected a limited number of calls to alternative crisis response providers. The Unarmed Model of Crisis Response, or UMCR, received 510 redirected calls, while D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Services received 20 redirected calls. These partnerships support efforts to appropriately route certain calls away from a sworn response when behavioral, health, or social service interventions are more suitable. Communications Division operates two primary dispatch facilities, the Metropolitan Communication Dispatch Center, or MCDC, and the Valley Communications Dispatch Center, or VCDC. These centers serve as the backbone of the city's 911 and non-emergency call response systems. However, the existing dispatch consoles, wiring, and related equipment have reached the end of their life cycle. The systems no longer have manufacturer support and are increasingly prone to failure, creating operational risks and potential service disruptions. When equipment malfunctions occur, personnel must sometimes relocate from critical dispatch positions, reducing efficiency and potentially impacting emergency response capabilities. In addition to aging hardware, the division lacks integrated software tools necessary to effectively analyze performance metrics, manage non-emergencies call demand, and automate radio transcription. Without modernization, the department risks falling behind national public safety communication standards and comprising the reliability of essential emergency services. To address these challenges, the Communications Division submitted a fiscal year 2026-27 budget request totaling $7,017,698 to replace and modernize critical infrastructure. The request includes approximately 180 new dispatch consoles, an artificial intelligence software suite for analytics, call management, and transcription, 360 monitors, and 1,000 headsets, and rewiring of dispatch center floors to support upgraded hardware and prepare for the next generation 911 technologies. The only component requiring formal training is the artificial intelligence software suite. Training was conducted during the week of January 12th through 16th of this year, and approximately 95% of our personnel participating in one-hour sessions designed to minimize disruption to dispatch operations. Overall, this investment is essential to maintain uninterrupted 911 service delivery, enhance operational efficiency, and to ensure long-term resilience of the city's public safety communications infrastructure. Modernizing dispatch technology will eliminate risks associated with unsupported systems, improve data analysis and call handling capabilities, and position the department to meet evolving emergency communication demands while continuing to provide reliable and equitable service to the residents of Los Angeles. And with that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you so much for the report and the follow-up from the January 13th report. It was Commissioner Scobin who requested this information. I'm going to turn to him and ask if he has any further questions or any comments.
Yeah, thank you. And a series of questions, so I might break it up if other commissioners have. Can you clarify, you had mentioned that training had been done on the new AI system in January. So has any of this technology already been purchased and is in implementation?
So the software was acquired under a grant, and that grant is through, I believe, January 2027 through ITB. So the software is available. Not all systems of the software are currently operational, but we did provide some training to our PSRs and our senior PSRs. And I can have Senior Robert Lopez speak on what kind of training was provided and what part of the systems are active currently.
Good morning, everybody. So the training that took place was a training that went through for 4 days back in January. The training consisted of 1 hour of hands-on training with the actual company sending their own personnel out to run a 24/7 training. So about 95 to 97% of our PSRs actually went through that training, so they're familiar with the software. Now, the software is currently running behind the scenes. It's not active at the moment, but it is being used specifically by our drone program. So the summary of the calls are coming into the system and then being forwarded over to the drones for the first responders. The operators themselves are not currently using the software except for about 9 to 10 operators that are doing testing, my team included, and our estimated time frame is to be able to roll it out the weekend after Easter. That's pending the policy and procedures that are taking place once we have a meeting with our unions and ERG to make sure that everything is aligned with taking care of the way that the PSRs are using the software.
And what's the correlation between needing this hardware and tech and the ability to use and roll out that technology?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So the technology itself as a software and the hardware are two completely different systems. The AI software came into play about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. The hardware itself has been in need for the last, I would say, about 8 to 9 years. We've just been so far behind on the hardware itself. So as I mentioned the last time we were here, the hardware usually has about a 10-year lifespan. This is the original hardware that was installed when the centers opened up back in 2003. And so that's where we're having the issue with the hardware itself. Now, as we move forward towards our next Gen 911 system, which the whole state is going to be transitioning towards in the near future, you're talking about the rewiring of our system to be able to handle the data, to bring in media, text, video, that kind of deal, because that's the way that the future's going in terms of 911 systems. So again, the AI software is completely separate than the consoles, monitors, headsets, that kind of deal.
And can you give some insight to the commission on the due diligence process to ultimately determine that, you know, this manufacturer and this hardware is the right choice? Curious, kind of hear a little bit about that process. What vendors did the department look at? And ultimately, how was this price determined?
Of course. So the department, obviously being Los Angeles Police Department, has a lot of contacts with other agencies, right? So what we've done is we've contacted other agencies to see what kind of consoles and systems they're using. We're actually in the process of asking for a travel authority to visit San Diego PD, which just recently got new consoles, to see what they're doing. We also put in a request to attend the national conferences for NINA and for APCO, which tend to have their vendors that go out and set up full-on displays of full consoles setups. And so our team can go out there and actually visit and see the variety of consoles and options that are out there. Now, in order for us to submit a request for the budget, we had to reach out to the vendors that are most commonly used out there to be able to then establish a quote so that we can then follow up and set up an actual RFP process. So we don't have an actual company that's going to come in and bring in the consoles or that we have a contract with, but I needed to contact different vendors to be able to pull in quotes and get an estimate of how much it's going to cost so that we can submit a request for those funds. So at the moment, we don't have an actual vendor that's coming in for it. I have an average of, I want to say about 5 to 6 different vendors that we put together to be able to submit a request for the budgeting.
And what brand are the consoles that we're looking at?
So currently we have Evans that's in-house. We're not really specific with anybody right now. We've looked at Russ Bassett, Zibix, we looked at Evans, Sussex. So there's a lot of different companies that we've looked at just to get a quote, but we haven't really agreed to anybody at the moment, which is realistically the importance of us going to those conferences in the next couple months so that we can get a very diverse package to be able to present that for the actual RFP process.
So if this budget were approved today, we're not ready to purchase. We don't know what specifically what we're going to purchase and implement.
Well, we know what's required. We know we need consoles. We know that we have a space for about 90 consoles per dispatch center. That's where we're at right now. So we have to replace every single console. So what we've established and what we've established is the process of how we're going to replace those consoles. We know we need space to accommodate 6 monitors. We know we need ergonomic desks that go up and down to fit, the different sizes of PSRs. We're a 24/7 facility, so at times at nighttime it gets a little cold. So we need the consoles to have individual heaters. During the daytime it gets a little warm, so have a little bit of a fan so that the PSRs are comfortable while they're handling the calls. We know the wiring that needs to go into place. We know that we're already set back. We're running probably Cat 5 cabling. We're going to have to move up to the current type of cabling that we have now. So to answer your question simply, we don't know exactly what we're getting, but we have a very good idea of what we need to request.
And curious if you know, if you get the green light budget-wise to move forward on this, based on where you're currently at on the process, how long do you think it will be before the system would be purchased and then implemented?
Ballpark, we're looking at 6 months. And that's so that we can go past the summer. Summer is never a good time to take down a whole center because you're talking about moving everybody from, we're looking at starting with the downtown center, but moving everybody who's working at the downtown center to the Valley Center during the summertime, which it makes it harsher for our PSRs who have their kids out of school. It's our busiest period because everybody's out on vacation. So we want to make sure that we're operating at our full potential out of both centers. So by the time that we get the approval for the budget, we do our RFP process, we're looking at being able to start right before the wintertime. So give or take about 6 months.
And where we sit today, do we have any inclination what, if any, of this budget request is going to be approved?
I don't have any information given to us. I've been given kind of on the side note, a note saying that it looks like it's moving forward, but again, I can't confirm that, and it's we know where we're at with the city.
And
so
when would we expect to know definitively?
when the budget's finalized, sir. That's our next step. We're waiting for the mayor to sign the budget, and then we're told officially that, yes, it's happening.
I was briefed that April 20th would be where the mayor's proposed budget would house that line item to see whether or not if it's included, if there were any changes to it. And then, until it's finalized, we can't move forward with, obviously, an RFP. So I know RFPs tend to take a long time because you gotta post it. You've gotta see which companies are gonna put in for the RFP process and selection. So, but at least we know what kinds of the quantity of the equipment we need, but maybe not exactly the type. But I know the RFP process does take a while to usually select a contracted vendor to service. And again, to what Robert was talking about was, we're gonna have to shut each of the centers down individually, and it may take, I think, upwards of 3 months or so to rewire the center and install the consoles and the monitors and the associated equipment. So we're looking at a pretty lengthy process of swapping out consoles at both centers and shutting each of them down independently, and again, moving all the personnel to one center. And this happens routinely when we have maintenance, where we house everybody in one center when there's critical maintenance being done at our MCDC or VCDC facility. It's just going to be a protracted amount of time in terms of getting those consoles installed.
Okay. Ms. Guerrero, do you have anything to chime in on? Any further information?
It's nice to see you all today. I'm here as the diversion programs coordinator for any questions that you may have about our diversion programs.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Tabor, do you have any questions?
And let's see if I understand where we are based on your answers to Commissioner Scopes' comments and questions. The 7 million here is essentially a budget placeholder. Since you're not actually acquiring any equipment with it, you're you're retaining the ability to acquire once you determine what specifically you want to acquire to complete these upgrades to both communication systems. That's essentially where we are? All right.
Correct, sir. Yes. I do want to clarify that it's also minus the $1,865,400 for the AI software that was actually put into the budget by ITD. So we can subtract that. So we're actually at a request of $5,164,298.
Okay. And is it your expectation when you attend the trade shows to identify equipment specifically that takes us into the next decade or takes us into the next 15 years? What are you looking for when you're on the floor looking at demonstrations and evaluating?
Right.
programs?
So I've had the experience of visiting one of those trade shows before and knowing how they lay out. So companies go out there and you have about 8 to 10 companies specifically that are known through law enforcement or through PSAPs that go out there and fully set up consoles. And they set up different layouts, they set up different heights, different colors, different coordinations of it. So what we want to be able to do is go out there, meet the vendors, let them know what our expectations are. We have our diagram of our layouts, so our configuration of our floor, how our expectations are in terms of how we want to set up the consoles to fit the most amount of people per center, and then be able to kind of work out an estimate of cost at the request that we're making. So that's really the significance of being able to go out there, is being able to meet and see who's up and coming. And, obviously different vendors have different quality, they have different needs, they have different time frames, timelines. And so being able to go out there and make an actual report on them is what our goal is to be able to do. So I know that there's one happening in June and one in August. And so we're trying to attend both so that we can compile a very diverse package.
So my next question sort of takes one step back.
Sure.
We've assessed the current need of the department. We've assessed what other cities, other agencies are utilizing, what their capabilities are in real time. Is it our desire to be 5 years ahead of the curve, 10 years ahead of the curve? What is what position do we wish to be in once we've made this acquisition?
Yes, so we're looking to find consoles and equipment that's going to sustain us for the next 10 to 15 years. That being said, knowing the cost of the equipment, the vendors that we have spoken with when we got the quotes, most of them do have about a 10-year lifespan and warranty to their equipment, which is what we're looking at. I'm looking at it from the perspective of let's be as cost efficient as possible, and let's try to bring in equipment that's going to take us to the future and be able to establish us as the Los Angeles Police Department. You know, we have other agencies that come to us for advice, and we want to be able to provide and show and demonstrate that we are considering the future and we're programming our equipment to be able to sustain that.
Okay. Okay, I may have a question or two afterwards. I'll defer now, if that's okay.
Commissioner Shields, any questions, comments?
Yes, thank you. And, having visited the dispatch centers both in downtown and the Valley, I am fully supportive of, the tech changes that are really needed to help them, because really without them, the job of the officers on the street couldn't be done. And so, and the people of the city of Los Angeles wouldn't be safe without them. So we need to make sure they are fully modernized. And the more we can do to reduce the number of minutes that people are on hold, that is the gold standard, and that's what we should be aiming for. So I think any investment here is well worth it for the future. And, and thank you for the additional information about the number of, I think it was like the number of calls that went to the diversion calls that had to kind of come back to the department. Do you have any sense of like what percentage that is? I have raw numbers, but do you know, for like the 510 redirects, do we know how many there were that didn't require redirects? And then also for the D.D. Hirsch, the 20 redirects, like how many were they able to handle essentially on their own?
So I'll begin with UMCR. So out of 13,004 calls during the year of 2025, 510 of those were redirected back, which is approximately 3.4%. And also for D.D. Hirsch, the 20 redirects we received back is a 7.4% out of our 268 calls that were diverted over to D.D. Hirsch through the year of 2025.
That's great. That's a significant number of calls that are getting attention from folks who are not law enforcement, and they're hopefully getting the service that they need. So I think those are great numbers. And again, we're fully supportive of other alternatives that are available in a safe way. And so thank you for those numbers.
Of course.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Shields. I'm sorry, I just wanted to say thank you for visiting the centers, but I wanted to also take an opportune time to let you know that National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, which is formerly known as National Dispatchers Week, is April 12th through the 18th. So again, if you want to visit the centers, thank our dispatchers and our PSRs, I would invite the commissioners, please, do come down to the communication centers. Let us know if you're visiting, but we love to support our PSRs and our dispatchers. They are really, critical in terms of, think about the first answering points to 911s, getting the critical information out to our officers in the field. They keep us safe. And so if you could show support and visit, it would be outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia, any questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up report. Just quick question. So the mayor's budget is potentially going to be released or approved within a month, approximately within a month from now. Do we have an RFP draft, and or is there a timeline of should it get approved on the 20th, for example, when would the RFP actually be released? And then you mentioned the June and August conventions or conferences. Will those keep us still on track with the timeline of trying to get an outcome or decision to the RFP and then installation and contracting and installation.
So we haven't started the RFP process, but my unit is completely prepared to start the RFP process as soon as we get the green light so that we can jump ahead. In regards to the conferences, so the conferences themselves are they're late on in June, but early on in the week of August. I want to say the last one ends August 5th. And so we'll be ready to have enough of options by then to be able to present the RFP appropriately.
And then during the 3 months of installation, do we foresee any reduction or any sort of barriers to the 911 operations?
So our call centers actually work collectively. Having them under one roof is actually, they'll just be geographically located and under one roof. So they all accept 911 calls and non-emergency calls simultaneously. And so having them under one roof is actually just more of a geography. The personnel, we're not going to see any change in personnel. Instead of just being in two centers, they would just be under one roof. So we're not going to see any drop in our normal operations.
All right, thank you. That was it.
Okay, anything further?
Just two quick questions. Have you guys explored if there's any resale value to any of our existing components that could factor into the equation?
Oh, trust me, I've looked into it. I've looked into reselling it to other agencies, to recycling it, to try to get some kind of cost return out of it. And the consoles are so outdated that other agencies don't want to touch them because there's no repair or replacement parts. So even to take them apart and try to put them back together, the main concern is that they won't be able to piece them back together after they're taking them down. Basically, the consoles are going to collapse. They're not going to be able to screw everything back in. The motors that lift the consoles up and down are basically, once you take them apart, the leakage of the fluids and through the shocks and all that are not going to be able to be put back together, basically. So trust me, even the metal, I've looked at even selling metal back so that we can get some costs back. I'm looking at every option, sir.
I'm glad to hear that. And look, I would just encourage while we don't know what's going to happen with the budget, I would plan for success, and I would have as much ready and dialed in, ready to go, so that if and when that budget gets approved and or we're able to support and find other ways to help supplement what is approved, that we're ready to go and immediately get things going.
Of course.
You may, Dr. Tabor.
To a question, thank you. Away from the equipment, then I'll come back to a question regarding the AI piece, if it's okay. I'm looking at the report. I see the question being asked, how many calls are transferred for unarmed response? I see it looks like a total of 530. And I'm just I don't know if the word is amazed or shocked or what, given the number of calls you identified we receive, and just the sense that, taking me back multiple years now, our department, when I was in Inglewood, used to get calls from people, the kind of cats in the tree, or I hear a noise under my house, that are not necessarily armed responses. So we don't get those calls, or they're not included in this 520 total? Because I thought the question was total unarmed response. How is that assessed? I guess maybe that would be helpful in understanding that.
Sure, I can go ahead and explain that for you. So our UMCR, Unmodeled Crisis Response, we go ahead and dispatch out on qualifying non-emergency calls. So there is exclusionary criteria, that being groups of 3 or more, they will not respond to. They will not respond to any use of intoxication that is active. They will not respond if there's weapons or violence or any type of criminal element. So if any of those are not part of the person reporting to us during the interview process, we will go ahead and attempt to divert over to UMCR. So typically it's going to be your trespass callers where they're not, any type of criminal activity is not involved. We'll go ahead and divert those, as well as indecent exposure. If they're removing clothing, we'll go ahead and send UMCR as well. Also, narcotic suspects, as long as they're not utilizing narcotics in that moment, we can go ahead and divert over those calls. Also, 415 groups or disturbances, better known as disturbances, we can go ahead and divert those calls as well. So it's more so just the type of calls that we're receiving from the public that if we can divert them, we will definitely try and send them the correct help.
Can I clarify something, Commissioner Tabor, for you? The 510 are redirects, meaning not the ones that were sent to the unarmed response, but there were, like for there was like over 13,000 sent over to the unarmed response, and only 510 had to go back to the police.
But not only to add on to her report, the diversion programs are also not throughout the whole city. So you're looking at, when you look at the total number of calls, you're looking at citywide. The diversion programs are only handling certain sections of the city, so it's not citywide. So it doesn't really match up in that sense.
Okay. So now that begs the question, will we have citywide capacity after this acquisition?
Okay, so just to let you know, UMCR is a program through the CAO's office, and Circle's through the mayor's office. We're meeting with them on a monthly basis. It's an unarmed crisis response, like almost like a committee. It includes us, includes fire, and so we're operating at 6 divisions right now. UMCR is looking at, I think, including 2 more divisions. One of them is a duplicate, which is Rampart. That some of the service areas are overlapped. So we're trying to deconflict right now who will respond to that. Is it UMCR or Circle? UMCR is going to defer to Circle when it's a person's experiencing homelessness. So that basically the priority will go to Circle for a Circle diversion rather than UMCR, because UMCR handles more than just persons experiencing homelessness. They handle a multitude of different calls. So one of the purposes of having that monthly meeting is to be on the same page, right? And how we dispatch and what the protocols are, what the exclusionary criteria are. But yeah, it is, like Robert did say, those programs are not citywide, and they're entirely funded and budgeted and deployed through the CAO and the mayor's office. So we wouldn't be the ones to be able to decide that. And when they do open up and expand their areas, they do let us know in advance so that we can train up our personnel and let them know that, because it takes about a couple weeks for us to put the information out, change our policies to say, hey, these are new service coverage areas. And then also, there's contracted service providers for those areas. And so we wouldn't necessarily know who those are unless UMCR or Circle advises us.
All right, that helped. And my question regarding AI is this. My sense is that we're using AI both as a service within the 911 operation core, but we're also analyzing through our AI the data that we're receiving from units in the community, from a variety of different sources. Do we control our own, I guess would be the right word in this instance, do we own any of the updates, modifications, the improvements, and are we able to then, going back to that question of value, are we able then to utilize that in any monetary way in support of other jurisdictions or even in support of our own growth?
Yes, so the AI software as a whole has many features that will assist the department in being able to answer calls and be able to put together packets of data. Primarily right now, the way that we're looking at using the AI software is to get the transcription and the summary of the calls as the calls being created. So the operator, the PSR, as they're conducting the interview, will be able to use the information that's being transcribed and summarized to assist them in creating the call faster. And so that's one of the ways that we're going to be able to hit the target of answering the 911 calls a lot faster, right? The other aspect of the AI software is using a triage function, which will allow the AI to handle our non-emergency calls. So, for example, we would be answering the 911 call through our operator, who will then triage the call, identify that it's a call that fits a certain criteria, and I'll get into that in a little bit, transfer it over to the AI software, who will conduct an interview and either send a text message or transfer to the appropriate entity. What we're looking at doing right now and being able to push out for the DP4 program is having the AI answer the calls or do the interview for calls that require no police response whatsoever. You're talking about parking violations, you're talking about bees on the property, barking dogs, any call that qualifies for our CORE's online reports, that's what would be answered and then diverted by, or I don't want to say the word diverted because diversion programs, but it would be transferred over and sent to the AI to be able to process correctly. So that's a whole other feature which would allow us to lower the call holding time that we see on a regular basis. Anytime that you go into our dispatch center, you're looking at about 30 to 45-minute wait times on our non-emergency line for a citizen to then be told, you know what, your call qualifies for an online report, go online, which is a disservice to the community. So this is one of those features that's going to be able to assist that and be able to provide a faster service and be able to free our operators to handle more 911 calls. Of course.
Okay. Chief, do you have any questions? Any comments?
No questions, comments, just thank you for the work you're doing, kind of the unsung heroes behind that make everything else work, and we greatly appreciate the work that all of your team is doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. I also want to thank the commissioners for all their thoughtful questions. I think we've dissected this supplemental report, and I thank you. And as president, I'm going to ask Commissioner Jeff Scobin to work with the department on the details of the 911 emergency and non-emergency calls response system. He is a member of the technology committee for the commission, so I think this is right up his alley, and you accept, right? Okay, good. Also, I look forward to visiting, and I think if Commissioner Scobin reaches out and also visits, I would like to accompany him, and I encourage our other commissioners to also come in anytime after April. And see the system. It's such an important response system that I think a visit to the dispatch center is well worth our time. So thank you again for your report. Very thorough, very complete, and we really appreciate it.
The recommended board action is to approve the department's report. Do we have a commissioner to make that motion?
I move that we approve the Los Angeles Police Department's report.
Do we have a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. With no other items on the agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.